Hi, and welcome back to the Positive Prepper. So I want to talk about a couple of things. This is going to be more like a conversation. I will definitely try not to rant, but it's a conversation. Like, this is what I think is going on. This is what's in my head. And I'd really love for you guys to tell me if what you think about this in the comments below. So in my last video, I talked about how it was too quiet. There wasn't these major, rioting stuff going on, right? And how I don't feel like they are still going to allow him to be in the White House, Trump. I don't think they're going to allow him to be in the White House. And I felt like something bigger was coming. So that's what I talked about in my last video. So what I want to talk about in this one is kind of an extension of that, and how things are sort of playing out. So I want to start with the Trump administration picks. So the people that he's putting in place, okay? Back in 2016, when he was first elected, he said he wanted to drain the swamp. But at the time when he said that, I don't think he realized, like, what that meant, right? I don't think that he understood the depth of that swamp. So now, second time around, and with everything that he's gone through, over the course of the last 8 years, especially the last 4, I think he's truly trying to drain the swamp. Putting Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy in a new arm of the government to go through and get rid of all of the waste and the spending that doesn't need to be. Brilliant. RFK Jr., I know some people aren't on the same page with that, and that's okay. Being the head of the DHHS, you know what? If we can make our food safer, a lot of the foods that we eat, a lot of the things in the food that we eat are banned in many other countries because of all of the changes it makes to our biology. So kids with ADD and ADHD and autism and all of that, I think that's great if they can do it in a way that keeps the cost low. I'm all for it. So he's picking people that they haven't always seen eye to eye. Tulsi Gabbard and Trump didn't always see eye to eye. They clash on a lot of things. But he understands her value and her values, right? So what he wants to do is completely... So I've talked about the Great Reset before, and I've talked about it in terms of like the WHO and other ways that this global reset could happen, right? The World Economic Forum. I think that what Trump is trying to do is a nationwide reset back to what the Founding Fathers originally thought about. Where, so for example, getting rid of the education department, right? That was not supposed to be a government thing. That was supposed to be a state thing. And I, for one, coming from a very rural community very rural school. I would like to see my tax dollars living in this school district go to rural schools in my state and not to the inner city schools of Chicago or New York or Atlanta or Los Angeles, right? That's just how I feel. I think there's a lot of overreach. Every facet of your life right now has a department of in the government. Every facet. Transportation, health, communications, emergency management, food and drugs, alcohol, tobacco, and firearms. Every facet of your life now has a department in the government. That means that everything that you do is controlled by that government. And being able to chip away at some of that and bringing back not just the state power over some of that stuff, but the individual power over some of that stuff, I think is going to be really good. That's just my opinion. But I think he's really trying to drain the swamp, and I mean drain it. And so, like I talked about in my last video, they're not going to let him become president because as he's doing this, a lot of these people understand that their golden calf is being pushed over. And that makes them really unhappy. Which brings me to the next part, which is the war. Or the wars. So, I'm having a hard time understanding whether or not Biden actually gave Ukraine permission to shoot missiles inside of Russia. I'm hearing yes, and I'm hearing, well, yes, but it hasn't been like officially whatever. So we're going to err on the side of it happened, right? So there's we have December, January, we have about 2 months. I don't know the exact number of days, 60, 64 days, whatever, before the inauguration. And Biden all of a sudden decides to give Ukraine permission to shoot missiles inside of Russia, which brings NATO in, which escalates the war, which from what I'm hearing, if this is true, then Putin has said, we're going to wipe out Ukraine, possibly by an EMP, totally wipe out their infrastructure. I don't know. But when you are in a transition of power, so Trump's putting together his team, Biden's team's being will be replaced. Yeah, I think it's January 3rd or whatever that is. Is now the right time to make that kind of decision? Now, I have said for a long time, and I will stand behind my statement, that I don't believe Biden's the one making these decisions. I believe it's somebody else. And I don't think that Biden really understands what he's doing. The people around him should be charged with elder abuse, in my opinion. But then we have to step back and we have to look at Trump's relationship with both Putin in the war between Russia and Ukraine. And we have to look at his relationship with Netanyahu when it comes to Israel and Iran's proxies. Is it possible that Putin will do something against Ukraine? Absolutely. Especially if those long-range missiles start going inside of Russia. But Putin's saying, well, we're going to use defensive things that nobody's ever seen before. It's going to flatten Ukraine. I'm thinking probably EMP. I don't know. But will that go outside of Ukraine? I doubt it. Because I think Trump has already been on the phone with Putin going, dude, this wasn't me. Hold off. The old guy doesn't know what he's doing. This isn't him. Give me time to fix this, right? I don't know. But I also think that, so that's how I feel about his relationship with Putin. It's just kind of like, let me get in here, let me fix everything, life's going to be good. With Netanyahu, I think it's a little bit different story. I don't think Trump is going to try to sway Netanyahu from doing anything different what they've already been doing. They're tit for tat with Iran. I do, however, think that Iran's going to be more afraid to amp that up with knowing that Trump's coming into office. Because Trump did them a lot of financial damage before, and I think he can do it again and will do it again. So I'm not as concerned about the outcome of that. Although, if I were president, I would say, we're going to come, Hamas, and we're going to kick your butt until you return every single hostage you took. Hopefully they're alive, but even if they are not, send the remains so that families can have closure. And we're not going to stop. If Hamas would have done that at the beginning, if they would have just returned all the prisoners, none of this would be happening right now. But my heart, again, goes out to everybody that's in that line of war, the casualties of war, the civilians, the children, especially the children and the innocents. But this is I don't even want to go there. I just think that with Trump coming in, I don't think that Iran is going to push that envelope because they know that Trump will do real damage. So, but by doing what Biden did, if this is real, is now they've escalated that war between Russia and Ukraine and possibly neighboring NATO countries. Okay? So we get into a war and something happens to our military overseas. Something happens inside our own country, which I'm going to get to in a minute. All of a sudden things are changed. Oh my gosh, national emergency. And I talked about this before, guys. That's the thing. There are so many scenarios. Sorry, Primrose came up to say hi. There are so many scenarios that they could use. Come here. Yeah, say hi. To stop this from happening. Okay? So it's either increase the wars, put the United States in a very perilous position, or they're going to continue doing what they can do to stop Trump by any means necessary. Okay? Trump has said that when he gets into office, he's going to declare a national emergency and use the military to help with mass deportations, starting with the illegals who are a threat to citizens and national security, right? So obviously ones that are criminals, ones that are criminals from their home countries and also ones that are criminals that have done things here. Like just mass deport them, right? And they're like, oh my gosh, you know, you can't do that. You can't shut the border down. You can't separate families. Well, you know what? This isn't the first time it's been done. Mexican-American War, right? Ronald Reagan did it. Look at your history. This is not the first time. Trump did a version of it when he was president back in 2016. He did a version of this where ICE went around and they collected people and sent them back. Oh, but you can't separate families. You know what? When you do a crime, you are taken into prison or jail. You are separated from your family because you committed a crime. Why should this be any different? Our military, when they go overseas, and I think I did a whole video on this before, so I apologize if I'm regurgitating this stuff. But when our military families, and I know because many of my family members have been in the military, and some of my family are now, you are separated from your family. It's not a new thing. You know, in this economy that we have families separated because you have parents that are working 2 and 3 jobs and their kids are either latchkey kids or relying on other family members to take care of them. They're separated from their kids. I know a single mom that goes to the same, she lives in the same district that I do. She's a single mom. She has 3 kids. One's older. Two are younger. She works 3 jobs to take care of those kids. You want to talk about separating kids from their families or parents from their kids? It is a way of life for many Americans right now. Why should that committing a crime of coming into the country illegally be given precedent over our military people that have to go out overseas or our moms and dads that have to work 3 jobs? It's no different, except that these people aren't committing crimes. Illegal aliens are. And I'm not using the right terminology because they're illegal aliens. We don't know who they are, and they came in illegally. That makes them illegal aliens. Sorry. But what's going to happen? So they already know that this is coming. Trump has already said, yep, we're going to mass deport. We're going to mass deport. We're going to start out with the criminals, right? That's step number 1. Step number 2 is we're going to shut that border down completely. And then step 3 is go after all the other illegal aliens that are in the country. So the word on the street now is that local law enforcement, National Guard, military are being trained on how to deal with suicide bombers. Why do you think that is? All these war-aged young men that came across this border, how many million? From God knows where. They know that as soon as Trump takes office, they're going to be deported. What do you think they're going to do? Are they going to put their hands up and be like, oh, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have been here, and walk, with their tail between the legs? No. You're going to see a massive fight back between now and January 20th. And even after that. Where do you think those people are going to go? Especially the criminals, the bad dudes. They're not going to be safe in those sanctuary cities. I don't care what the mayor, that one mayor in California, and I think the governor of Arizona said, you're not going to touch these people? Really? That's not going to stop it. So where do you think these people are going to go? They're going to fizzle out across the country. They're going to scurry like rats. Right? Because you can't have everything all in one place, like your preps. So you need to make sure that your homes are secure. Just saying. Make sure your vehicles are secure. Make sure your head is up and on a swivel when you're out in public. Always. Make sure you are prepared to defend yourself. Always. Because they're not going to stay in these places that they're at. Okay? The other thing that I want to bring up about this is everybody's crying about, oh my gosh, you know, that's going to devastate our workforce. It's going to devastate, you know, being able to pick crops and drive trucks and the supply chain. And you know what? We have so many Americans right now. I have to be, I'm gonna be really nice because I am Positive Prepper. There are a lot of people that are out there crying right now, and I've watched it. If you watch these YouTube videos that are crying because now they're going to have to get a job because Trump's going to take away their government way of life. Oh my gosh, I'm going to have to go get a job. Yep. You might have to. And these woke people, this not all, but many in a certain generation. Well, you know, I game at night, so I can't be at work till 10 in the morning, and I can only work till like 3 because, you know, I have a social life and you can't deprive me of that. BS. Get your ass off the couch, get your ass out of mom and dad's house, and go get a job. And start taking pride in American made, in American hard work, in American sacrifice for American peace and security. And I don't mean just physically, but economically. Go get a job. Take the jobs. You know, for many years, I cleaned. I still do. That's my second other job. I clean. I clean toilets. I clean break rooms. I clean living spaces. And I'm proud of what I do. I've been doing it now for over 10 years between these two businesses. I'm proud of what I do. It doesn't demean me. I'm also a substitute teacher. That doesn't define me. What I do for a job does not define me. Who I am as a person and how I treat others is what defines me. So if you're too good to be out there cleaning toilets, or you're too good to be out there, you know, picking grapes off of grapevine, or helping a farmer in his field, then you need to get knocked off your pedestal and understand what American values really are. Because the heart of this country is our farmers, which you should be supporting anyways. And our service workers, the people that bring you your food at a restaurant. I've done it. I don't care if you pick up garbage at the end of people's driveways or you're the CEO of a Fortune 500 company. No job is more valuable than another job. So humble yourself. And remember, I'm talking to those people that don't want to go out and work. That's who I'm talking to right now. Go out and get a job. When these criminals start getting deported, and I don't know what jobs they do, I have to imagine maybe field workers, factory workers. I don't know. It doesn't matter. Get into the Uber business. Drive an Uber car. Get a job. Do something. And stop complaining about how this is going to affect us when there are plenty of American citizens that could use those jobs. So I don't want to hear it. Okay, I'm going to stop there. Sorry about the rant. The last thing I want to talk about is this whole Diddy scandal. Now, why Positive Prepper are you bringing this one up? Well, I'm bringing this up because my husband and I had a conversation about this earlier today. And Diddy he's whining and complaining because, where's all the Me Too movement and the support? Where's all these friends of his? Well, here's the difference. Harvey Weinstein manipulated people into positions they wouldn't normally have gone in. Right or wrong, obviously there were some judgment calls that were bad, but he manipulated. And so the Me Too movement with that was, yep, he did this to me too. If I didn't do this, then I wouldn't get this, right? But the whole P. Diddy thing, these were those same people that made the choice to do this. They weren't blackmailed into it. They weren't manipulated into it. But they chose to do it. And so now they're like, again, scurrying like rats. I don't want to be caught in that. It tells you the double standard of the elites. You have seen the double standard of the current administration. You have seen the double standard of leftist media. You have seen the double standard of Kamala herself and people like Oprah Winfrey. They always accuse you of what they themselves are doing. That's what they've done to Trump. That's what they've done to us. That's what they will do to a lot of his cabinet picks. Now, I know this video went way farther and longer than what I wanted to do, and I apologize. I just want people to understand this isn't over, like I said in my last video. And now because of this decision with Ukraine to allow their missiles to go into Russia, that's amped up. They're going to fight a lot of the Trump administration picks as much as they can because they know that when the war machine goes down, so does their investments and their retirement accounts. So they want to amp it up now, get as much out of it as they can. Okay, remember the video I did on Scranton and who probably owns stock in that. Okay, it's not over. Are they going to take him out by treason or bullet? Leave your comments in the section below. Stay safe, stay extra vigilant, and God bless.